I'll be like, oh my gosh, whatever his name is so hot. He's so hot. And he was older than us. She ended up dating him. And yeah, I got to make my first little snowman. And I was like, bitch, I have a pool at home. What are you talking about? I don't see none of you people here have no pool. I mean, the car was a piece of shit. And I just cried. I cried. I was like, I want to go home. I can't do this. Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube video. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a get ready with me. But while you're getting ready with me, I want to tell you about the year that I spent away on student exchange in Denmark. So the story hopefully will last about as long as I'm putting on makeup. Okay, so just getting ready today. It's Tuesday. It's my content day. Also, well, a part of the content, I'll be filming Tuesdays with Tricky. I have a lot going on for me for these couple of months. I actually bought an apartment and I'm renovating it, and it's pretty rough. Of course, I have help. I have a carpenter who hasn't started yet. The painter is there today, but I did all of the demolition work yesterday by myself. I did all of the electrical work yesterday by myself, and yeah, took out all the ceiling fan. Anyway, whatever. I'm going to be doing a YouTube video on that for you, so stay tuned. But today, I want to talk about my trip to Denmark. I have lots of pictures to show you, so hopefully you won't see my big head just beating down my face. Anyway, start with the story now, Jodi. So, growing up, I would like to say I was, academically challenged? I wasn't academically inclined. School to me was for socializing. So in high school now, when I realized all my friends are going off to college, this one planning to do this one's doing this course, SAT, LMNOP, me don't know where to go because of course I would not apply to college. Like, that's not my thing.
Not my cup of tea.
Still didn't know what I wanted to do or what I could do. And I knew that sixth form wasn't really an option for me at the time just because I just didn't want to go back to school. So anyway, an option that my mom and I looked at was student exchange. And I would go to school in another country, but it would be like I would just be immersed in the culture. So there used to be an organization in Jamaica, which was part of a greater organization called AFS. I forget what it stands for. And we went down to the AFS office and we said, we wanted for me to go on student exchange. I filled out a bunch of forms, my interests, where I would like to go, and I picked Switzerland. One of the reasons why I had picked Switzerland is because I was like, of course I want to have chocolate for breakfast. Look at this makeup. Ooh, it's like, of course I want to have chocolate for breakfast. Like, that sounds amazing. Like, Switzerland, I can, bank in a Swiss bank. And I had all of these plans to open a Swiss bank account and then I would keep it forever. And I never tell you I'm a scammer.
And you have won $1 million. Scammer them.
Anyway, so with the student exchange, why it's called student exchange is at some point, it could be at the same time while I'm gone, but at some point my parents would have to take on a student. So if I go, a student, not from the same family, it doesn't even have to be from the same country, would come and stay with my mom and dad at their house. And mom was like, that's fine, that's cool. Some of it was, you did pay, but a lot of it was just like a learning experience. Of course, I had to pay for my ticket and stuff like that through this company. And the company would look for schools for me. They would look for a family that would suit me and my interests, etc. After a little while of looking, the company looking at places for me to go, etc., they called back my mom and they were like, listen, in Switzerland, the school programs that they have are very strict. And we noticed that Jodi, she states it very clearly. She doesn't really love school. If she misses, any days of school or like consecutive days of school, or they're going to send her home. So what the student exchange is you go away for an entire year. You spend your birthday there, you spend a Christmas there, you spend an Easter there, you spend birthdays of your family members and who you're staying with there. It's a full immersion for 1 year. And there are rules and regulations. You can't get pregnant. You can't work. You can't drive. You can't sleep with your host parents. There are rules, Anyway, so they said I couldn't stay in that Switzerland was not a good option for me. So they were like, if she goes to Denmark, they don't get a lot of student exchange students over there and they don't get a lot of Jamaicans. They'd really love to have her, and they're not so strict to the school. And I think it'd be a good fit for Jodi, Also, also Jodi has a European passport. So if she wanted to like get a little extra job or, you know, they wouldn't be that strict on her over in Denmark as they would be in Switzerland. So I was just like, all right, you know, no harm, no foul. Like, I don't know anything about Switzerland. I don't know anything about Denmark. So let's head on over to Denmark. Packed my bags. Mommy took me on a shopping trip to Miami a little bit before because she was like, yo, you're going to see snow for the first time. And so, you know, I got this big winter coat. On one side, it looked like bear fur. And on the other side, it was like waterproof, what you call it, thick material, and it was teal. I was really excited because, you know, I got to spend time away from my family. I would get to learn new things and just be away. You feel like say, oh, I'm a big woman, I can do whatever I want now, blah, 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 blah. So I would be given a host family, and what that means is I would have a Danish mom and dad, and I actually had two Danish sisters, only one of which lived with me. My eldest sister, Anne, she was 20-something at the time, and she lived with her boyfriend. And the younger sister, Stine, she lived at home with me, and she was my biggest sister. When I first got to Denmark, while traveling through the airport, there was another Jamaican named Adam, forget his last name. He was also a student exchange in Denmark as well, but he was going to be staying in a different part of the country than me. Anyway, get to Denmark, and the first thing that they do is AFS, the company, has like a big welcome party for all of the student exchange kids from all around the world. So just kind of like a break-in, you know, go through the rules with us. So I believe that we're there for about 5 nights or so, and we're just waiting for everybody from the different countries to come in. It was like a culture shock for me because it's now communal baths, communal showers, it's bunk beds with just like tons of kids from all over. You know, we're getting to know each other, who's going to be staying in the same area as us. And you start forming a little friendship groups and stuff like that. So you have that support system wherever it is that you're staying. I was just really, this was the first time I think I was really having like communal showers and, you know, sharing such close spaces and, you know, going to like the mess hall or the food hall and just bulk cooking like that. And, you know, you being served like, you know. So yeah, it was pretty cool, and you know, everybody's still nervous. We're getting the information packets on our family, you know, who we're going to. The day comes now for me to go to my family. I'm living in a little town called Esko, and Esko is about an hour train ride away from Copenhagen. I get to the train station, and as I come off the train, the words, the letters that sound out my family's name, I'm like, oh, Greth. She's like, Krede. I was like, oh, hi, Krede. I see my sister, I'm like, Stein. She's like, Stine. Then I see the dad. Luckily, his name is Carson. So, you know, that was pretty easy. And I can't remember if Anne was there to greet me at the time. They take me back to the house. Everybody's very friendly. You know, they're very welcoming. My host mom, Krede, she does not speak English so well. But she tries, and she's so sweet. And she actually looks like my mom's mom. So I had a little soft spot for her, and she was always so nice to me. My host dad, Carson, he speaks pretty good English. He's a mechanic in the town of Esko, and he collects like I don't want to say older cars. He collects like vintage cars. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Kreda, she worked as a nurse's assistant at an old age home, and the old age home was really nice. She took me to work one day, and that's where, you know, you hear me sometimes talk about, you know, why do people in Jamaica keep doing all of these apartments and, you know, construction sites? Why don't you open a facility for elderly living? And that's where I keep getting the idea from. Anyway, so get back to my house. It's about a 5-minute drive from the train station. And I don't really take too much notice of anything. Anyway, pack out, settle in, you know, bathe, pack out all my clothes. This is my room, clean up my room, you know, try to make it feel as cozy or as hyggeligt. That's the word they translate to cozy in Denmark, and they use it a lot, hyggeligt. And just try to make it my own, light some candles. My room was green, like green. I'm sure I'll have some pictures to show you. The next morning, I've landed in summertime. So we're still on summer break from school. And the next day, my host dad, Carson, he wants to show me my bicycle. So I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know why this guy wants to show me a bicycle, but all right. He's showing me my bicycle because to get from my house to the train station is about a 10 to 15 bicycle ride. Then from the Esko stop train station to the train station in Vordingbo, which is 2 stops away, is my school. Once I get to the Vordingbo train station, I then take, or I can walk, take a bus to the school. It was just easier for me to take the bus. You see, when they tell me all of this, I started to cry because I was like, hold on, I don't think you understand. Like, I'm a city girl. This is so unfair. Like, I lived in Stony Hill and I thought I was coming to a city, so I finally could like be in the heart of things, you know, and now I live on a Christmas tree farm. So the house in Esko Stop was situated on quite a large piece of land where my host dad and my host mom had a small farm. They had chickens and also they grew Christmas trees. So in Christmas time, families would go there to pick out their Christmas tree and, you know, make it do the whole, yeah. So I actually have pictures here of when we got to the train station where the camp was. So when I got to Denmark, it was summertime, as I said. So things were kind of wrapping up. I'd gone to the school to, you know, register and check in and stuff. And I'd started to meet some of my classmates. And everybody was just so excited to, you know, meet and talk to the little Jamaican girl. I was one of the darker kids in the school, which to me was a complete shock because in Jamaica, I'm used to being one of the lighter kids. I go to Denmark and I'm in like the top 5 dark kids. So it was, to me, it was just like, okay, this is so different, but I welcomed it. You know, I liked that I was different. I liked that everybody wanted to talk to me. I liked that, you know, everybody was so interested in, you know, where I was from, information about Jamaica, information about me. I'm just going to do my eyeliner and I'll be back. Eyeliner done. Okay, it was now the official start of school. And we had a meeting in the auditorium. The kind of school that I went to was called a Handelschool and Handelschool Gymnasium, which means Handelschool is basically a business school and gymnasium is like a more sportier type school. I hope I'm saying the right thing. Anyway, I was on the business school side because I actually did really, really well in principles of business when I was in school. So I went over to the business school. So both sides of the school, so I guess you could call it like lower school and upper school almost. Anyway, both parts of the school had a welcome meeting in this huge hall on the gymnasium side of the school. So that's not really the hall I get to go into on a usual basis. But anyway, in this meeting, it's all in Danish. The teachers are welcoming each other, who are the new teachers that they're having at the school, any new classes, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the English teacher, Christina, she's talking and she starts to say in English. So they're actually pretty good English speakers in Denmark. And she starts to say, we'd like to welcome a new student from Jamaica. And so everybody starts looking around. But already I walked into the auditorium with my curly hair and being one of the darker skinned kids. So everybody was kind of looking at me before like, oh, where's she from? How come we didn't see her in the town before? Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yes, good.
This when my ear go on fleek. And me a flash it back up.
Yeah, whoa.
And my face go on fleek.
Anyway, so Christina was like, we'd like to welcome Jodi. She's from Jamaica. We'd like to make her feel very welcomed. And then she started listing off a couple interesting facts on Jamaica and, you know, what class I would be in. And everybody gave me like a round of applause. And I felt really welcomed. And Christina was my English literature teacher. And she was just always really cool. And a big culture difference in Denmark is we call our teachers by their first name. And so it was just so crazy to me because I'd be like, Miss, and she'd be like, you don't have to ask to go to the bathroom, you just go. Also, we could have our cell phones in class. We had boys in class. Like when I went to school the first day, I was like, oh my God, there's boys in here. I mean, not the most attractive.
Beg your pardon?
I mean, I'm not attracted to that look. You know, but I was like, boys in the class? I was like, okay, you could wear whatever you want. And of course, me now with my little fufu there for me now. So you can wear whatever you want. So if I come here in a bikini, you won't say anything. And at the time, I think it was Jensen, he was doing like, just what to expect of the, because I believe we're like, what, first form or something, or first day of the school. So he's going through rules with us one day. And I said, so if I wanted to wear my bikini, I could. And he's like, you could, but that's not something you'd want to do. I'm coming from Immaculate, where it was a Catholic school, wear uniform, call a teacher. We couldn't even walk through the front door of the classroom because that's a teacher's door. So to go to a country where we're now calling teachers by their first name and can wear a bikini to school if you want was like, whoa. Anyway, Christina was a really, really cool teacher, a really cool English literature teacher. And on one of the first days of school, she was like, okay, well, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit about Jamaica. Because one of the questions I got asked very often was, this is from year 19, I lived in Denmark from 99 to 2000, from summer to summer. One of the questions I got asked pretty regularly was if we live in coconut trees.
What?
And I got asked this question a lot. And I think people were like, because they saw me in regular clothes, one girl asked me, where's my coconut bra? And I was like, bitch, I have a pool at home. What are you talking about? I don't see none of you people here have no pool. I have a pool at my house, okay? We don't pump our own gas and we don't ride bicycle. Well, some people do, but you know what I mean. So I was like, girl, I have a pool at my yard.
You bitches can't even spell pool.
Anyway, it really did start to annoy me that people were asking these weird questions. Like, they all know Bob Marley, but Bob Marley was never living in a coconut tree. You never see Bob Marley in a video with girls with coconut tops on, like looking like some kind of like there's no buildings in the background. Like, come on, man. That really annoyed me. Anyway, so Christina decided that she was going to, and I believe it was in the month of February as well, we were going to do a timeline of things that happened in Jamaica. So she started with Bob Marley's birthday, and then we went through all kind of different things that would actually, the timeline was for the year, but she integrated certain Jamaican things just to make me feel at home. So she put in Bob Marley's birthday. In November, she put in my birthday, and she didn't really put in any of the other students' birthdays. So I really rate Christina. She was so cool, and she just always made me feel so welcome. And even though I was away from home, she was a really good English teacher. So if I had any problems, any trouble, I know I could go to her and, you know, let's have a little talk. Going out in Denmark. So I had some closer friends. I'm looking at the pictures now. Mede, Maria. There was 2 Medes. Actually, there was 3 Medes. M-E-T-T-E, Mede. Everybody wanted to be named Mede. Going out was a lot of fun because I didn't have the restrictions that I did here in Jamaica. Meaning that I didn't have a curfew. So living in Jamaica, my mom would be like, I'm picking up, and I had the worst curfews ever. My curfew was 1:30. In Jamaica, like, that's when the party is popping off. And I better not be late because my mother will be that person at the DJ booth. Jodi Stewart, your mother is at the DJ booth, or no, at the gate. Oh, God. So, you know, going away where I could do whatever I want, come home at whatever time, I could sleep. Well, sometimes I would sleep over like Mede's house because the train was a problem. I believe the last train back to Esko stop was 3:15, which still wasn't bad. And there was a 5 a.m. train to start the day. Anyway, and there were other kids that had to go home too. So that train time was like a good time at 3:15. I just love the freedom. The music over there, they listened to a lot of like house music, which was different for me. Like, it was music I hadn't really heard before or paid attention to before. Different songs, you know, that they like, woo! And I'd be like, what the F is that? It was a really, really cool experience overall, and it was something that I don't regret. Anyway, that will be my closing. As I said, I started off there in the summer. So I was still able to wear my little impy skimpy clothes that I'm used to wearing. And I then pierced my tongue. Yes, I did have a boar tongue.
Nah, I ain't never been with a body.
I pierced my tongue. Because over there, so many of the kids had piercings and tattoos. And I was like, okay, I want one too. And it wasn't like Nandi was there, that's my mom, for me to have to ask. Like, it was, to me, I could do whatever I wanted, when I wanted. And it was almost like me just broke away.
Just another good girl.
My family liked to go on walks. There was a Christmas tree farm. So at Goa, little walk. After almost every big meal, especially on a Sunday, they wanted to go on at Goa. I always wanted to walk, which would annoy me because it was outside. For those of you who know anything about me, I don't like outside. I don't like outside. I don't want to be outside. I'm not interested in whatever is growing out there, whatever lives out there. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. So for me to go and live on a Christmas tree farm at that, every minute, Carson, at Goa? And I'm like, no, at Goa, I go lie down now. And I had to try and explain to them in Jamaica what cultural fatigue is. I was like, no, in Jamaica, we don't at Goa, we don't walk. We take a lie down, okay? And I was trying to, you know, just encourage them to, instead of at Goa, at stop. I got a couple other piercings, like my belly button. I I made good friends. Maria was a really good friend of mine. She was really cool. She spoke English really, really, really well, which I think is why I just became the closest with her. And Maria, anything Maria had pierced, I would pierce too. So that's how I ended up piercing my belly button. I ended up piercing my nose and any other piercing that I may have had. And it was cheap too. I remember, and one of the really cool things about going to school over there was our field trips. So, I mean, I remember growing up as a little girl in Jamaica, we took a field trip once to the Edna Manley School of Arts, which was a pretty big deal, you know. But in Denmark, our field trips, we went on a field trip to the Czech Republic, which was awesome. I was like, we went on a bus, and I guess because Europe, not that Europe's small, sorry, but Europe is so connected. So we went on a field trip to the Czech Republic, and that was the first time that I was introduced to Red Bull. And I would see all the kids, they would leave, because they were very liberal with the kids. You could leave. We stayed in a hostel. So when we got to the Czech Republic, we stayed in a hostel. Everybody was together. By this time, I'm used to the communal bathing. But everybody was making this big deal, and they kept buying, going out, leaving the hostel and coming back with this canned drink. And I was like, what is that? What is the big deal? Like, I don't drink soda like my mom. And they're like, no, it's not soda. It's actually banned in Denmark, or we can't get it easily in Denmark, but it's for sale here in the Czech Republic. And I was like, okay, what is it? They're like, it's Red Bull. And I was like, what? At the time, I don't even know Red Bull was like a big importer of its goods into Jamaica. But I just didn't see the big deal. So I asked a friend for a taste of theirs because I want to see what the big deal was about. And I just didn't get it. I was like, there's no liquor. There's no liquor in this. I didn't understand. Anyway, I think that's simply because it was banned, which is, you know, why they're making a big deal out of it. Anything that banned, you know, like a picnic. So we went to the Czech Republic. There was a couple other field trips that we went to that were really exciting. I went over to Balhorn. I can't remember the name. But there's a small island off of Denmark. It's a part of Denmark, but it's almost like their line key. And it's a small island. Danish people live there. It's a part of Denmark, but separated by you take a ferry. And I believe the ferry was about 4 or 5 hours long. We went there for a field trip too. Anyway, starts to get cooler now in Denmark. And I remember the first snow. It wasn't no regular snow. It was a ratted snow. And I woke up and I was like, so I said to my sister, Stine, I said, Stine, how do we get to the train station? She goes, oh, you ride your bicycle. You ride your bicycle. I was like, oh, but it's snowing. She goes, yeah, you put on your coat and you ride your bicycle. I was like, how are you getting there? And she's like, I'm riding my bicycle. I always used to leave out a lot earlier than Stine would just because I just wanted that little bit of time. And sometimes she would be in a super rush. I would like, because Stine was a little bit more late. She was kind of like Tracy in that aspect. I would want to be at the train station, sitting on waiting on the train. Anyway, I remember that first bicycle ride in the snow. I cried the entire way from my house all the way to the train station. It was so hard for the wheels to get any form of traction in the snow. It was the same bicycle that I rode in the summer. There was no changing out of the wheels to like snow wheels. It was cold. As I'm riding, the snow is like pelting me in my face. It was uncomfortable and I just cried. I cried. I was like, I want to go home. I can't do this. I'm an island girl.
Island girl, are you an island girl? Are you trying to make it?
I didn't go home. I stayed my entire year. I absolutely loved every single minute of it. I got along well with almost everybody. You know, everybody would want to hear about stories about Jamaica, what we do here, what we're known for. And it was interesting then because my dad actually used to play or has played a few times football with Bob Marley. So everybody wanted to ask me all of these questions about Bob Marley, ask me these questions about the beach, what is sand like, have I ever traveled outside of Jamaica other than to Denmark? They'd ask me some questions, and you know what? Other than the do we live in palm trees, that annoyed me. It was so interesting at how people think that islanders live. And I'm the kind of person, I make friends very easily. I'm a very happy, very jovial. I love to be around people. I love to be the life of the party. So I got along well with everyone in my class. I got along well with anyone in my school that would talk to me. I got along well with my host sister, Stine. I got along well with my family. And I really had a very, very good time in Denmark. I'm just going to go through some pictures. Oh, we went to Berlin. Let me tell you a story about Berlin. So me and Maria outside of the biggest beer producers in Germany. Time for a taste. So our class, again, one of the field trips that we went on, we went to Berlin. And I remember this trip because Meda disappeared. And then we're like, they leave us in the town. Like they leave us, they're like, okay, you have the day. Make sure at what o'clock time you're back by the hostel. And Maria and Meda walked off and left me. Meda disappeared first. Then Maria disappeared and I was left with the other Mede and what is this? Sine. S-I-G-N-E. Not Stine, Sine. And I was like, yo, how come my friend left me? Like, Maria walk off and leave me so. Like, what's going on? Later on that evening, we're back at the hostel and Mede and Maria show me their new tattoos. I was so upset with them. I was like, why didn't you tell me that that's what you were doing? I would have come with you. I don't have a tattoo and I would have gotten one. And at the time, the tattoo that I would have gotten would either been one of two things. The first thing would be Captain Crunch. Only because sometimes we get tattoos that represent a moment in our life that when we are no longer in that time frame, mind frame, the tattoo is, you just want to get rid of it. Captain Crunch doesn't mean anything at all to me. It's a nice tasting cereal, but it's just so random that if I got it, it would just always be a random tattoo. And getting it, I would know it's random. So it's not like 5 years later, I'd be like, oh, I don't like this cereal anymore. No, it was just a random tattoo to say I have a tattoo. And it would be, I think, a great talking point. So it would either be Captain Crunch or it would have been a Danish flag. And I think I was going to get the Danish flag here. I can't remember. Or on my ankle or something, because a Danish flag would be representative of the time that I spent in Denmark and I really enjoyed myself. And again, it would have been a talking point. Why does this brown Jamaican girl have a Danish flag on her foot? And it would be like, great conversation starter when I was dating or whatever. Anyway, drop a like if you think I should have gotten the Captain Crunch tattoo. Anyway, they left me. I didn't get my tattoo and I was upset. And in retrospect, looking back at it, I'm kind of glad that I did get left behind because I know I don't have any tattoos. And I still think either one of those tattoos, I don't think I get a Danish flag now, but I still would do the Captain Crunch just because it's so random and I think it's cool. Anyway, so that was a trip to Berlin. Of course, in Berlin, we went and visited, as I said, we visited the biggest beer producers in Germany. I have a picture of us in our hostel bed, just kind of, hanging out. Drinking beer was a big thing over there. I guess because liquor was expensive. So you'd have to buy liquor like your rum or your vodka or whatever. And then you'd have to buy your chaser. So the kids just drank beer over there. At first, this was a big adjustment for me because, first of all, I'm just coming out of high school. So I'm not a drinker any at all, really. And then to be a drinker of beer, and then these kids are like getting drunk off of beer too. It's like, it's a lot of beer. I did fit in nicely though because, I learned how to get down them 2 6-packs. I then put on a lot of weight in Denmark. So I wouldn't say it's our national dish. Risengul. Rice pudding. My host mom, Kreda, would make a really nice rice pudding. It's almost like a tapioca, but it's more savory. Oh gosh, I love that stuff. And my host mom, she would make our own jams. She would make, because we had like little trees on the properties with like cherries or some little berry. She'd make our jams for us. She would make bread. So all the bread that we ate in the house with sandwiches, and I don't know, like in Europe, we have a lot of bread. I would eat things that would put weight on me to make me feel warmer, I think. So Kreda would make bread, she'd make jams, and she would make this risengol, and I loved it. Whenever I came home early from school, I think I had an early day Thursday, I would make that for myself for dinner. And it was like a meal thing, like almost like a porridge. It's a porridge. Oh gosh, I love that stuff. I put on so much weight. In Denmark, I put on about 50 pounds. Yeah, I put on about 50 pounds. So between the bear and all of this, the carbs and stuff, yeah, I put on 50 pounds. Oh, while we were in Berlin, we visited a German concentration camp that was active in World War II. We saw where, it was a concentration camp. It was, I remember that. It was really somber. It was really, really somber. Like, you know, they're telling the stories of what happened there during World War II and what Hitler, you know, had. It was just horrible. It was horrible. We went into one of the holding tanks and you could still see fingernails embedded in the wall because people would try to climb out. That, I don't know what the word would be. I don't want to use cool, but that was an interesting field trip in Germany. In the year, AFS had 2 other camps just for all exchange students to get together again. Just like little activities, you know. So we all got together again. Remember, we had all met each other when we first landed in Denmark. So we got to see, you know, I got to see Adam, the Jamaican, who had gone to a different side of Denmark, and got to see the people who I had met when I initially arrived in Denmark. They reminded us of the rules and regulations again. There was, I think her name was Rosanna, who was obviously pregnant for her host brother. And because we had to shower together, that she had a pregnant belly. During my year of AFS, 1990-2000 in Denmark, we had 2 girls sent home for getting pregnant. And what else did we have? We had 1 girl from, her name was Alexandra. She was dating the hot counselor. She ended up dating the hot counselor. She was very mature. She was very like, we'd all be like, oh my gosh, whatever his name is so hot. He's so hot. And he was older than us. She ended up dating him and getting him in trouble. He wasn't allowed to counsel. Peter, that's his name, Peter. I think he wasn't allowed to counsel anymore. I don't think was she sent home? So that was the first part of my story because I was there a whole year. So I have a whole heap of stories, but I just want to start off my, you know, my introduction to Denmark and let you guys know a little bit about when I first got to Denmark. And let me finish up some makeup though. Oh, this light is on now. What are you going to tell me? It's because I was doing my eyeliner. Oh yes. So let's end on, I spent Christmas in Denmark. This was very interesting because they have different traditions. One thing that stood out to me that was very different was our Christmas tree had real candles on it. And I was like, this could be very dangerous. We picked our own Christmas tree from our Christmas tree farm in the backyard. And this Christmas was the Christmas that we spent at, is it Carson's family? So Carson's family, who lives on another side of Denmark, they alternate Christmas dinners. So we actually went over to Carson's, was it his brother? I can't remember. For Christmas, which was really cool. I just kind of had to fit in with whatever it was they were doing. I didn't have much choice. And yeah, they had real candles on their Christmas tree, which to me was crazy. But somebody just had to stay wherever we were going. These at-goers, I would be the one, I'll watch the tree. So someone had to stay and watch the tree because there was real candles on it. So I was like, you guys at-goer, I will at-sleeper. Yeah, I got to make my first little snowman. Because even though I have a European passport, I'd never seen snow before I went away to Denmark. So I said I was going to share some pictures with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed my little story of when I went to Denmark. I really had a great time. I don't remember much of the schooling part of it. I really went for the experience. My year in Denmark was really amazing. I had such a great time. I didn't think I would love Denmark as much as I did. Just simply because I didn't know anything about Denmark. But I made some great friends, great friendships, amazing memories. My only regret, if I could do it all over, thinking about it, I would choose a Spanish-speaking country. Simply because in going to Denmark and in learning Danish, I didn't get to practice it. So of course, it's a language that I don't use and I don't really remember much of. I've been to Denmark since with Sean and I was able to like translate the menu and I was able to order food. I was able to get around, but I was surprised at how much I had forgotten. I'd gone from dreaming in Danish to now wondering on the menu, what does chicken mean? If I could do it all over, I would have, thought a bit more carefully in going somewhere where I could use the language after. So I would have gone to a Spanish speaking country. But in retrospect, you know, there's always something that you're going to be like, hey, I wish I could have done this over or redone this or whatever. I came home with a greater appreciation for my parents, you know, even though I would cuss and complain at 1:30 or 1 o'clock is not no amazing curfew. My mom would get up out of her bed and come to pick me up while I'm partying and drunk. And she didn't have to do that, because when I went to Denmark, it was up to me to get on the train, get on the bus, get onto this, ride my bicycle. And I just appreciated the things that my parents did for me a lot more. And that year was such a year of growth for me in appreciation. You know, things that I took for granted, just a simple little drive down the road, or when my dad bought me my first car. I really appreciate it. I mean, the car was a piece of shit, but I really appreciated it because I remember those days of crying in the snow trying to get to the train station. And I had such a good time in Denmark. I learned so much apart from book learning. I mean, actually, I learned not a book. And AFS in Jamaica is now closed down. It's a little unfortunate because, so this would be another story time. So while I was in Denmark, there was a guy named Rune from Norway. We would get exchange students here. I'm not sure if there's like a monetary exchange or something, but anyway, so these European kids would come to Jamaica and they would stay at in these places where they're very rural, or it was just, Jamaica wasn't a good host country because you'd either have the kids in these uptown houses where you're like, well, you have to drive to school or you have to drive to your business college, like there's no other way for you to get around, and that was like breaking a rule. Or you'd have kids staying in rural Jamaica and they'd be like, listen, there's no toilet here. Like, there's a Pete's toilet? What is that? And some of the families in Jamaica just started taking advantage of, oh, well, I can send my child here if I swap it out. And then the kids that would come here would be like, I can't, this is not fair. I can't live like this. One of the kids that were here already, I was about a few months in, and mommy was like, listen, there's this young man named Rune. He's from Norway and he's living in a situation where it's not that great. He's very far in the country. It takes him so long to get to school. He's not having the best time. And mommy says, I want to take him and do the swap now while you're away, and I won't have to worry about having an exchange student here with you and Tracy in the house. So it wouldn't be 3 of you, it would still be the same 2. So I said, okay, fine, I'm not there. Buy me a new mattress before I come home. So I can give you that story and Rune's stories because we did overlap. So I did come home. He was here for 3 weeks until he left. So that was kind of crazy because I got to shout at him in Danish, because Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish, they're very similar. It's just the accents. So I was able to like tell him, come and clean up. I got to practice my Danish. Anyway, so AFS in Jamaica closed down because of that. So we don't have any exchange students anymore. But I do think that this is a great opportunity for kids to, you know, go away and get that appreciation and get that worldly experience. If my kids ever came to me and said that they wanted to go on AFS, I would definitely encourage them. It was a really good experience, and yeah, I think this is where I first learned how to budget, because my mom and dad could only afford to send me X amount of money for the month. And if I wanted to do the field trips, if I wanted to buy the bear, I would have to budget accordingly. I didn't work while I was over there, even though I could, because of my passport. I had a European community passport, and I was in Europe, but I didn't. So I think that's where I first learned how to budget, which I'm thankful for today, because I know save my money, I don't spend frivolously, and I just bought my first apartment. That video is coming soon. If you guys liked this Get Ready and Story Time, let me know. Drop a comment down below and let me know, would you like a part 2? Because trust me, there are a whole heap of stories about the year I spent in Denmark. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Bye. Hey!